Here, here, and here too. They are everywhere, hiding, waiting, and looking for any chance to bite you. Whether you live in the suburbs of Connecticut, along the wooded edge of Wisconsin, out in rural Missouri, or in those damp, overgrown yards in North Carolina and Georgia, you cannot really escape ticks. It is time to deal with them, but not with a spray service that makes you lock your dogs and cats inside, and not with those professional treatment packages that can cost hundreds of dollars in a single season. That can waste your money, and it may even send your pet to the hospital. After getting bitten by ticks more times than I care to admit, I tested a formula made from things already sitting in the kitchen. One batch costs about $3, safe for small children, dogs, and cats. And at the end of the video, I will also share 5 small tips I learned while fighting ticks around the yard. Do not miss this. It may be the kind of thing pest control companies hate, but it is exactly what you need to see right now. Preparing ingredients, spray bottles, and safety rules before mixing. I know a lot of people just want to hear the mixing ratio right away. I am the same way. But with something you are going to spray around the yard, around dogs, cats, small children, vegetable beds, and those poor little shrubs minding their own business out there, I do not like mixing things blindly and hoping for the best. Doing it right from the start is still easier than fixing a mess later. First is the garlic. I use granulated garlic powder, the coarse garlic powder or dried garlic powder with the strongest smell you can find. It does not need to be expensive. It does not need a fancy label. The kind you open and the whole kitchen knows about it, that is the kind I like. If you want to get closer to professional garlic barrier products, you can use garlic juice concentrate, but today I am going with the easier homemade version first. Second is citric acid. The kind of powder used in kitchens, canning, mixing drinks, or light cleaning is fine. I will explain in a bit why it is in this formula, but for now, just understand that it is not here for decoration. Third is Castile soap. We only use a small amount. It helps the solution stick better to low grass, low plant stems, the undersides of leaves, fence bases, and the spots where ticks like to wait. Do not pour in too much. This is not the time to wash a pickup truck. You also need warm water because warm water helps the garlic powder and citric acid dissolve more easily. Cold water can make the powder clump, and then later those clumps go straight to the spray nozzle and make you mad. If you use garlic powder, I recommend having a strainer or filter cloth too. Trust me, this little step can save your whole afternoon. For the sprayer, a small yard patio or small dog run only needs a 1-gallon sprayer. A medium yard can use a 2-gallon pump sprayer. If your yard is large, has a lot of fencing, or sits close to the woods, a 4-gallon backpack sprayer saves you from going back to mix more again and again. But with ticks, you do not need an expensive fogger. Ticks do not fly around your face like mosquitoes. They stay low along grass edges, leaf litter, low brush, and dog paths. A regular sprayer with a good adjustable nozzle can sometimes give you better control. Now let's get into the most important part, the mixing ratio. I will start with the 1-gallon mark because it is easy to make, easy to remember, and if your yard is bigger, you just multiply it. How to mix a tick spray solution from garlic, citric acid, and Castile soap. Now we will mix it based on 1 gallon first. This ratio is easy to remember, easy to test, and enough to treat a few important zones around the yard. If your yard is bigger, just double it to 2 gallons or multiply it by 4 for 4 gallons. I do not recommend mixing too much on the first try because you need to learn how much solution your yard actually needs first. The base ratio is this: for every 1 gallon of warm water, use 1/4 cup granulated garlic powder, 1/2 tablespoon citric acid, and 1 teaspoon Castile soap. If you use a 4-gallon sprayer, the formula will be 4 gallons of warm water, 1 cup garlic powder, 2 tablespoons citric acid, and 4 teaspoons Castile soap. A 4-gallon sprayer is pretty heavy when full, so if your yard is not too large or you do not want to carry that much weight for long, mixing 1 or 2 gallons at a time is completely fine. First, pour warm water into your mixing bucket or mixing container. It does not need to be boiling water. Warm water helps the garlic powder and citric acid dissolve more evenly, and it reduces clumping. Then add the garlic powder slowly while stirring. Do not dump it all in too fast. Garlic powder clumps very easily, and those little clumps do not make the formula stronger. They just make the spray nozzle easier to clog. Next, add the citric acid and stir until the mixture looks even with no patches of powder gathered together. You do not need to stir like you are fighting it. Just make sure everything blends in. Add the Castile soap last. This is the part to remember. If you add soap at the beginning and stir a lot, it can foam up and make the mixture harder to pour into the sprayer. After adding the Castile soap, stir gently until it is mixed in. Its job is to help the solution cling better to low grass, low plant stems, the undersides of leaves, and fence bases. Once it is mixed, do not pour it into the sprayer right away. Let the mixture rest for at least 30 minutes. If you have time, letting it sit for a few hours is even better. If you plan to spray the yard the next morning, you can mix it the night before. Resting time helps the garlic soak in more evenly, gives sediment time to settle, and helps the solution move through the spray nozzle more smoothly. After the mixture has rested, filter it before pouring it into the sprayer. If I use garlic powder, I do not skip this step. You can use filter cloth, a mesh strainer, a fine sieve, or a paint strainer bag. It only takes a few extra minutes, but it prevents a lot of trouble. Garlic in the kitchen smells nice. Garlic stuck inside the spray nozzle is just annoying. After filtering, pour the solution into the sprayer. Close the lid tightly, then shake it gently a few times. Before spraying around the yard, test the nozzle for a few seconds on a small grass edge or bare patch of ground. Check whether the nozzle sprays evenly. I usually set the nozzle to a light, even spray, not too strong. With ticks, we need to coat the low areas where they wait for hosts, not blast everything with a hard stream. This homemade solution should be used the same day, ideally within 24 hours. Do not leave the sprayer sitting in the sun, and do not store it in the garage for a whole week and then use it again. When you are done, wash the sprayer, rinse the nozzle clean, and let it dry. If there is any leftover solution, do not pour it into a fish pond, drainage ditch, or a small creek behind the house. That is the full mixing process. Next, I will explain what each ingredient in this formula actually does and why garlic, citric acid, and a little Castile soap all have a reason to be in a yard tick spray. How this formula works. I know this formula sounds almost too simple to believe. Garlic, citric acid, a little Castile soap, and then you use it for ticks in the yard. If somebody told me that, without explaining anything, I would raise an eyebrow too. So before spraying garlic around the yard, I started by looking at the labels of a few garlic barrier products sold on the market. One product lists ingredients that are almost entirely garlic juice with a little citric acid and preservative. One garlic barrier label publicly lists 99.3% garlic juice, 0.5% citric acid, and 0.2% potassium sorbate. When you look at a label like that, you see it right away. The main part is still concentrated garlic. There is no giant secret here. Garlic does the heavy lifting, citric acid comes along to support it, and the preservative helps the product last longer on the shelf. Now let's talk about each ingredient. Garlic is the main one. But do not misunderstand me. I am not saying ticks smell garlic once and drop dead. Ticks do not behave like mosquitoes. They do not fly around and land on tall leaves. They stay low, clinging to grass leaf, litter, shrubs, and fence edges, waiting for people, dogs, deer, or mice to pass by. So what I want is for the garlic smell to cling to the exact places where ticks tend to wait. Not to perfume the yard, but to turn their ambush spots into places they do not want to stay. Citric acid is not the whole formula, but I am not adding it for fun. It appears in commercial garlic barrier products, so I keep it in this homemade version. In simple terms, it helps this homemade mix become more than just garlic powder stirred into water and gives it a structure closer to a product already being sold on the market. Castile soap is much easier to understand. It helps the solution stick. Without it, you can spray and watch the solution run right down to the ground. A little Castile soap helps the mixture cling better to low grass shrub bases, the undersides of low leaves, low plant stems, and fences. But you only need a little. More soap does not make ticks more scared. It just makes the sprayer foam up and harder to use. Then I read a 2024 study in Emerging Infectious Diseases about natural products used for ticks. That study mentioned mosquito barrier, also made with garlic juice, citric acid, and potassium sorbate. The part that caught my attention was that the study did not treat it like a strong poison. They described it as being closer to a repellent. Lab testing also showed that it repelled black-legged ticks, but did not poison them at the dose listed on the label. Now come out to the yard with me and I will show you exactly where you need to spray. The first places to spray in the yard. When I walk into the yard with a sprayer, I follow a fixed loop. I do not go straight to the middle of the lawn and spray everywhere. With ticks, that is an easy way to waste solution and still miss the important spots. I start where the family and the dog pass through most often, then move out toward the fence, low shrubs, leaf litter, wood piles under the porch, and finally the edge of the yard near thick vegetation. Just remember it this way. Ticks like low, shady, slightly damp places with grass or leaf litter and with people or animals passing through. First is the outdoor living area. That might be the walkway to the garden, the edge of the patio, the sitting area, or a place the family passes through often. I do not spray chairs, tables, children's toys, dog water bowls, or anything people regularly touch with their hands. I only spray around the outer edge of that area, especially where it meets grass low brush or shade. If there is a path from the yard into the house, I lightly spray along both edges of that path. Next is the dog's running path and the fence edge. If you have a dog, this is one of the places I treat most carefully. Every dog owner knows dogs usually have their own patrol route along the fence around the back gate, beside the shrubs, or wherever they stop to sniff. I spray close to the base of the fence, the grass edge along that route, and around low shrubs near the fence. This is where ticks can easily grab onto the dog and ride into the house. After that, I treat the grass edge and any places where the grass is taller than normal. I do not treat the whole lawn the same way. The parts I pay attention to are where grass meets shrubs, fencing a shed, a wood pile, or thick growth. If there is a strip of grass taller than the rest, I spray close to the base of the grass, move slowly, and apply a light coat. You do not need to soak the area, you just need the solution to touch the low zone where ticks may be waiting. Next are low shrubs and leaf litter. Under shrubs is where I always check carefully. Shade plus leaf litter holds moisture very well and ticks like that kind of environment. I spray around the base of the shrubs, the undersides of low leaves, and the edge of the leaf litter. I do not spray into tall tree canopies. If the leaf litter is too thick, I clear some of it first and then spray. Spraying over a thick pile of leaves without clearing it only touches the outside, while underneath it stays damp and dark like before. Then I check the places where small animals tend to pass through: wood piles, stone walls, piles of dry branches under the porch or under the back deck. These spots matter because mice, squirrels, and chipmunks can move through them, and they can carry ticks around the yard. I do not pour the solution deep into the wood pile or under the porch. I spray around the edges, the ground around it, the base of stone walls, and the entrances to those areas. If your dogs or cats like crawling into those spaces, spray lightly and wait until everything is completely dry before letting them near it. Finally, there is the yard edge near thick vegetation. If your house backs up to woods, a creek, pasture, small trail, or brush behind the fence, this is an area worth treating carefully. I walk along that edge, keep the nozzle low, and spray into tall grass, low brush, and leaf litter along the border. I do not spray up into tall tree canopies because that is not where ticks usually wait for you. With ticks, the yard edge matters more than the space above your head. If I do not have enough solution for the whole yard, I prioritize 3 places. First, the dog's running path and fence-lined low shrubs with leaf litter near the living area and the yard edge near thick growth. Those 3 places are usually more worth treating than the dry, sunny grass in the middle of the lawn. When I spray, I keep the nozzle low, move slowly, and apply a light, even coat. No need to blast it everywhere, no need to soak the whole area. The goal is to let the solution cling to the places where ticks may wait. For a host, grass bases, the undersides of low leaves, shrub edges, fence bases, thin leaf litter, and damp, shady edges. Now we know where to spray. Next, I want to say plainly where you should not spray, where you do not need to spray, and the mistakes that make many people follow the right formula but still get poor results. Places you should not spray and do not need to spray. This formula is cheap and easy to make, but that does not mean you should grab the sprayer walk around the yard and spray everything you see. Spray the right way and it helps. Spray the wrong way, and at best, you waste your effort. At worst, you cause trouble for plants, pets, bees, or the water around your home. My first rule is very simple: spray around the places where people and pets pass through, not on the things people and pets touch, eat, or drink from, or lie on. I may spray the edge of the dog's running path, but I do not spray the dog. I may spray the edge of the kids' play area, but I do not spray the toys. I may spray around a walkway, but I do not spray chairs, handrails, outdoor tables, water bowls, food bowls, dog beds, or anything that will directly touch skin, mouths, children's hands, or pets. After spraying, I also do not let dogs, cats, or small children run into that area while it is still wet. Let the solution dry completely first. This formula is not some terrifying thing, but I still do not let the dog lick freshly sprayed grass, and I do not let little kids crawl around on a damp spot. With yard work, it is better to be careful at the start than worried later. I keep the same rule with the vegetable garden. I do not spray directly on leafy greens herbs or any part of the plant I plan to harvest and eat. If I need to treat around the vegetable garden, I spray the walkway, the outside edge of the bed, the grass edge, the fence base, or low shrubs around that area. But the leaves, blossoms, and harvest-ready produce, I avoid those. Flowers with bees on them should be avoided too. If I am near a flower bed, I only spray low around the grass edge or the base of the shrubs, not on the flowers. Our target is ticks, not making life harder for bees. Fish ponds, drainage ditches, small creeks, and places where water runs through the yard are the same way. I do not spray into them, and I do not spray right before rain. If rain is coming, the solution washes away quickly, which wastes effort and may carry it somewhere you do not want it to go. Now let's talk about places you do not need to prioritize. Tall tree canopies are one example. With mosquitoes, people often think about leaves, shrubs, and resting places. But with ticks, the important zone is much lower. Ticks usually wait in grass leaf litter, low brush, and yard edges. They are not sitting high in trees waiting to drop onto your head like something out of a horror movie. Standing water is not the main target of this formula either. Standing water is a mosquito problem. Ticks do not breed in buckets of water the way mosquitoes do. If you are trying to handle ticks and you keep focusing on puddles and standing water, you are using a mosquito control habit on a different problem. With ticks, look low, grass bases, fence edges, leaf litter, dog paths, low brush, wood piles, and yard edges near thick growth. The middle of a dry, sunny, closely mowed lawn is not where I pour a lot of solution either. If I have extra solution left, I may lightly cover a few edges, but I do not start there. I prioritize shaded, damp places where hosts pass through. Dry stone patios, clean gravel, and hot concrete in the sun are not worth spending much time on. There are a few mistakes that are easy to make. The first one is spraying on a windy day. Wind blows the solution away from where it needs to go, and it may even blow it right back into your face. Garlic smell in food is pleasant. Garlic smell shooting straight into your nose through a sprayer is not fun at all. The second mistake is spraying when the grass and leaves are still wet, or spraying right before rain. The solution does not cling well, it washes off easily, and you almost have to do the job again. The third mistake is spraying too much in one spot. Soaking the whole area does not make ticks twice as scared. It just wastes solution and may bother sensitive plants. The biggest mistake is thinking this formula replaces yard cleanup. If the grass is still tall, the leaf litter is still thick, the shrubs are still dense, the wood pile is still damp, and mice are still running through there. Every night ticks still have a reason to come back. This spray is a support layer. It does not replace mowing, clearing leaves, trimming shrubs, and keeping the yard dry and open. I do not measure the result by how long the yard smells like garlic. I measure it with a more practical question. After a few days, are those hot spots still holding ticks? Is the dog still bringing ticks inside? And do I need to spray again? So the next part is the spray schedule and how to check whether it is working, so you do not have to guess. Spray schedule and how to check the results. I do not spray once and act like the whole season is finished. With ticks, that is a little too optimistic. If the yard still has tall grass leaf litter, thick brush dogs running through it, mice moving around, or deer coming near the fence, then ticks still have a reason to come back. My method is simpler spray, the first time watch for a few days, then go back to the exact spots that still have a problem. The first time I spray the hot spots we talked about earlier. That means the dogs running path fence edges low, shrubs, leaf litter, wood piles under the porch, and the edge of the yard near thick vegetation. I do not spray the whole yard evenly like I am fertilizing it. The target is the places where ticks have a reason to wait. After spraying, I do not rush to spray again the next day. I give it a few days and watch what happens. Usually after 3 to 7 days, I start checking again. Not by asking whether the yard still smells like garlic. The smell can fade, but the more important questions are, is the dog still bringing ticks inside? Do I still see ticks on my socks or pant legs after working in the yard? And is there any corner where the same problem keeps showing up? After about 7 days, if I still see a few hot spots, I spray those exact places again. I do not respray the entire yard if only one corner still has a problem. For example, if the dog still picks up ticks after running along the back fence, I go back to that section. If the shrub near the patio is still a place where ticks show up, I treat around the base of that shrub and the leaf litter there again. After heavy rain, I check again too. Rain can wash away part of the solution, especially along grass edges, low shrubs, and slight slopes. But I do not spray while the yard is still wet. I wait until the grass and leaves dry out, then I touch up where needed. Spraying onto a wet surface usually makes the solution cling poorly, which wastes effort and does not work as well. During peak tick season, I usually check the yard every week. That does not mean I spray the whole yard again every week. But at least I walk around, look at the familiar spots, and see whether the pets are showing signs of bringing ticks inside. For a normal yard, a touch-up every 2 to 4 weeks may be enough. If your house backs up to woods, you have a dog, deer, or mice around the yard, lots of shade, and plenty of leaf litter, you should check more often. That is my basic schedule spray, the first time check after a few days. Touch up the right spots, then maintain it through tick season. And before we wrap up, I want to add one small section, a few real-world tips that many homeowners in tick-heavy areas wish they had learned earlier. Write these down. 5 small tips I learned from people who live with ticks. Before we wrap up, I want to share a few small tips I learned from neighbors, relatives, longtime dog owners, and gardeners around here. I do not pretend to know everything about this yard stuff. A lot of good tips do not come from the front of a spray bottle. They come from people who have lived with the problem long enough. The first tip is to drag a white towel to find hot spots. Use a white towel or a light-colored cloth and drag it slowly along the fence edge, tall grass, low brush, and dog paths. If ticks grab onto the towel, you know that area needs more attention. This is simple, but it helps you stop guessing. The second tip is to make a dry strip with gravel or wood chips between the lawn and thick vegetation. Ticks do not like dry open areas with fewer places to grab on. This strip is especially worth building along the wood line around the kids' play area or near the dog's running area. The third tip is to use tick tubes in the right place. Do not put them in the middle of an empty lawn. Place them near wood piles, stone walls, fences, or places with signs of mice. This tip targets mice because mice can carry ticks around the yard. Read the label carefully, especially if you have cats or dogs that like chewing strange things. The fourth tip is not to accidentally feed mice under the bird feeder. Fallen seed can bring mice, squirrels, and chipmunks closer to the yard. Clean up spilled seed often and keep bird feeders away from thick shrubs, wood piles, and stone walls. The final tip is to trim the bottom of your shrubs. Many people mow the lawn carefully but forget the base of the shrubs. Trim back low branches so sunlight and air can get in, then clear out the leaf litter underneath. After that, spray low around the base of the shrub. These tips do not replace the spray formula, but they help make the yard less damp, less overgrown, and less attractive to ticks. And if you have a tip you learned from your parents, grandparents, neighbors, veterinarian, or your own trial and error in the yard, leave it in the comments. I read those tips carefully because sometimes the real experience from viewers is better than whatever is printed on the front of a bottle. Tick season is here, and honestly, there is nothing pleasant about it. Just one tick on the dog on your socks or crawling inside the house is enough to ruin the whole evening. But seasons like this are also when we learn the most. Today's garlic formula came from that exact moment. Me looking around the yard, seeing the fence, low shrubs, leaf litter, and the dog's running path, then asking myself if ticks are waiting there. Why am I not treating that exact spot? But I know one thing for sure, I am not the only person with experience. Many of you watching this video have your own tricks learned from grandparents, parents, neighbors, veterinarians, or from your own hard-earned backyard lessons. Share them in the comments. A video built from real community experience is always worth more than a video that only tries to sell products for profit. And that is also why this channel exists, so we can learn together how to protect our homes, gardens, families, and pets in more practical, affordable, and independent ways.